In this video, we're going to take a look at quadratic word problems involving area. Let's just jump right in and take a look at a problem. The length of a rectangle is 8 more inches than its width. If the area is 48 square inches, what are the rectangle's dimensions? So these type of problems, it's a really good idea to start out with a simple diagram. There's our rectangle. And you have to decide if you're going to let the variable stand for the length or the width. So we know the length is 8 more inches than its width. So it would be easier to start with the width and then add 8 to it to get my length. So I'm going to go ahead and let W equal the width. And that would mean that the length would be 8 more than that, or W plus 8. Now you can always use X or N or whatever variable you want. How do we find the area of this rectangle? Well, area is base times height or length times width. So our area is W times W plus 8. And as soon as we distribute this, you should recognize why this is a quadratic word problem. So when we distribute, we get W squared plus 8W. And that's quadratic with the W squared. So how do we set up our equation? We can say that W squared plus 8W is equal to our area of 48. Now to go about solving this, we're going to want to set one side of the equation equal to 0. So we're going to move that positive 48 to the left side, and it will become negative 48. And now, to go ahead and solve this, we're going to go ahead and do our diamond box. But just recently, I've decided I'm going with box diamond, and I'll show you why in a second. If you want to stick with diamond box because you're used to that, go ahead and do that. But I like doing it this way because the first thing that I want to do is go ahead and write W squared in the upper left part of the box and negative 48 on the bottom right. And the box really is the focus of this to give us our factors. The diamond or X is just there to fill in these missing spaces in the box. Let's continue with our diamond part or X part. We're going to go ahead and put negative 48 on the top. That's negative 48 times the A value of 1. And we have positive 8 on the bottom. So with the negative 48, I'm thinking multiply to get 48, and I'm going to subtract to get 8. So you can go through a list if you need to, or do it in your head, and we end up with 12 times 4. And then we have to think which one's positive and which one's negative. So with the bottom being positive, the big number's positive, which means our 4 is negative. Now we can transfer these over, and we're ready to solve the outside of our generic rectangle. So we know it's got to be W times W to get W squared. It would be W times positive 12 to get 12W, and W times negative 4 to get negative 4W. Just to double check it, negative 4 times positive 12 does give us negative 48. So now we can write our factors, and they are equal to 0. So to solve this, we're going to use zero product property. So that means we would set W minus 4 equal to 0, and also W plus 12 is equal to 0. Go ahead and move these to the opposite sides to get our two answers. W equals 4, and W equals negative 12. Now since this is a word problem, only one of these really makes sense. It does not make sense that we would have a width of negative 12 inches. So we can actually cross that one out. Now we can go back to our diagram and label our W, or width, 4. That means W plus 8 becomes 4 plus 8. And now we can write our answer. The dimensions are 4 inches by 12 inches. Let's take a look at one last problem. If you want, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can figure out this one on your own. So the first thing that we should do is to go ahead and draw a little rectangle. And then we're going to label it and this one we have a length that is 1 less foot than the width. So you'd start with the width, and then the length would be w minus 1. And then for area, we're going to multiply these. So we get w times w minus 1 equals 72. Now we go ahead and distribute the w, and this is what makes it a quadratic. W squared minus w equals 72. In order to solve, we have to set one side of the equation equal to 0. So we're going to move the positive 72 to the left side and get that. Now we're ready to set up our diamond box or box diamond. I'm going to fill out the box part. Negative 72 will go on top of the diamond, and negative 1 will go on the bottom. So I'm thinking multiply to get 72 and subtract to get 1. We're subtracting because the 72 is negative. So that'll give me 9 times 8 is 72, and 9 minus 8 is 1. Now, which one is going to be positive? Which one is negative? We need the bigger number to be negative. So negative 9 and positive 8 can now go into our generic rectangle. And now we can get the outside, w times w, and then w times negative 9 for the top, and w times positive 8 for the left side. To double check, positive 8 times negative 9 does give us our negative 72 in the bottom right. Now we can go ahead and write these out as factors, and then we'll be using zero product property to solve for it. So we'll set both factors equal to 0, and then when we move the negative 9 to the right side, it becomes positive, and the positive 8 becomes a negative 8. Now, since this is a word problem, it doesn't make sense to have an answer of negative 8 feet. So we can just get rid of that one. Label the w in our diagram with the 9. And that means the length is going to be 9 minus 1. So now we can write our answer. Our dimensions are 8 feet by 9 feet. And that'll conclude our video on quadratic word problems involving area.